In this video, I'm going to tell you why you need more than one size of circular saw. G'day everyone, in this video I am going to attempt as quickly as possible to tell you all the differences between the sizes of circular saws in the Makita 40V platform. There is 125, 165, 185, 235 and 260/270mm, we'll get to that in a moment, saws. These ones are all the top handle ones. There are also two rear handled ones. I have to do this quickly, else I will not get this video out in time before Makita release yet another circular saw. They've released a lot so far on the 40V system. I've actually decided to do these in the order they were released. This is the HS001G, only available from Japan. Still crazy that they haven't released a 165mm saw in other parts of the world. That's 6.5 inches if you're imperially minded. Now, this is a nice saw. There is two available. The HS001G is this model. The HS002G is this model with a little AWS thing here. If you don't know what AWS is, take a look up here in the top corner. It has a nice shiny base. It has a different mechanism for holding your fence, your guide, than other ones. Better clamping knobs as far as I'm concerned than the other saws, strangely enough. It has bevel knobs front and back which make your base nice and secure when you have it on an angle. You can also bevel it in reverse 5 degrees, so you can have a negative bevel of up to 5 degrees. That automatically resets. There's a lot of adjustments on this saw. If anything's out of square, you've got adjustments to get it right again. It has no front handle. The 125 and the 165s have no front handle. It has 2 speeds, so it's about 4,500 and 6,000 RPM, depending on what you are cutting. The 125 also has that. None of the ones above the 165 are 2-speed models. So that's a quick look at the 165, a good all-round size saw. Next to be released is what is probably the most common one in the world at the moment, the HS003G, the 185 or 7.25 inch saw. The HS004G is also a 185mm saw, and the difference is the base. It has a groove here to run on a track. The HS004G is the first of the 40V saws to have a track compatible base. Both the HS003G and HS004G are AWS compatible. Apart from that, the HS003G is probably the plainest, most simple of all the circular saws so far. Just a good old-fashioned, all-round, popular-sized circular saw. Next to be released was the 125mm saws. Here's where things get really interesting. They released 4 saws this size. Once again, still only in Japan, so if you want to get these Japan ones, take a look down in the description for links to get some of these if you want to get your hands on them. So like the 165mm saws, it is 2 speeds, as I said earlier. This one does not have AWS, but it does have a removable front. That's correct. There's 2 saws that have AWS, 2 saws that have removable fronts. By loosening these 2 knobs, the front comes off. Why do you need to take the front off? Well, this saw has another trick up its sleeve to utilize the front being removed. Once again, it also has locks front and rear for beveling, which is very handy, especially with this particular tool. We take a good close look at this. We bring this base right down. Okay, so far nothing too out of the ordinary. But we've got this little lever here. Flick that lever over, bring your saw down, lock it off. Now look at that bevel. It's going the complete opposite direction of what a circular saw would normally bevel at. That is a 15-degree reverse bevel. That means you can undercut a wall with this thing. This tool is fantastic for cutting out floorboards. You can cut out a floorboard flush with the edge of your wall, so you can just drop a new floor in, no having to get in there with a reciprocating saw or a multi-tool or anything annoying. Just beautifully can cut hard up against something. Fantastic little feature that I wish was on more saws. So 2 of the 125s do that, and 2 of them are just basic 125mm saws without that reverse bevel function. So that's the HS005G. The HS006G has the AWS, the HS007G, no front, no AWS. HS008G, no front coming off, but with AWS. Whew. Next up, the HS009G. which is completely different again. Like the 5-inch, the 125mm, the front comes off, but it's a completely different design. This front comes out and you can use it as your rip guide. So you've got a rip guide there, flip it over, and it's just a base extension. Pretty cool, huh? We'll get that out of the way now. It has AWS. It is a 235mm saw. There is one other 235mm saw, or 9 1/4 inch, which I'll talk about in a moment. With this saw and the one that you'll see after this, the big deal about them is the base. So you've seen the front come off and get out of the way. You've then got the detents on the front here for your bevel. This saw also unlocks front and back, but it goes right up to 60 degrees. Look at the angle of that. Not only that, what's this stuff? It's another track compatible base. If you get the HS010G, it is not a track compatible base. It is basically a standard circular saw, but it is this size, 235mm. So that model has a base pretty much like the HS003, just a bog standard circular saw base. And last but by no means least, the 270mm or 10 5/8 of an inch cordless. Remember, this runs on batteries. This is a monster of a saw. Now, this is the HS011G. Like I said, 270mm, but only in some parts of the world. Some parts of the world, North America for instance, this is going to be a 260mm blade that this thing comes with. And you'll have different arbor flanges and stuff here, so different blades will fit on. 270mm blades are not very common, but with this blade on, this saw can cut down to 104mm. So you can cut through a 4x4, 100x100 rough sawn timber post, no problem, one pass. Brilliant. It too has AWS and a track compatible base, and bevels to 60 degrees. The HS011G and the HS009G also have a lever to do this, to help your guard open so you don't catch it on the edge of your timber when you start a cut. Personally, I use these two the most, the 270 and the 165. The 165 is a nice small light tool with plenty of power. This has so much more power than an 18 volt Makita. You can rip with this thing no problem at all. Although still unfortunately only available from Japan for like the last couple of years now. So hopefully there'll be a 165 available for everyone else soon. But if you want one right now, take a look down in the description. So these three sizes, the 185, the 235 and the 270, all available with track compatible bases. These three sizes all available with removable fronts, the 125, the 235, the 270. These two available with 60 degree bevel and built-in rip fence. The 125 and the 165 both come with 2 speeds. They both come with or without AWS. And they both come in black if you so desire. These three have optional dust ports and rafter hooks. These two have positionable dust ports. And if you want AWS, well, it's available on all sizes of these circular saws. That's just a quick overview of some of the features that set these 5 different circular saw blade sizes apart from each other. If you want to know more information about any particular one, I've done reviews of all of them. Check down in the description. You'll find the links down there. So I hope that's helped you make the decision of which one of these circular saws you need, or which 2 you need, or which 3 you need, or maybe which 5 you need. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on another Makita review not too far away from now. Cheers, guys. Oi, what are you doing around here, chicken? You mean to be around the back? Oh, both of you? Sheesh.